This is Tony T from Tony'sPicks.com with our free college football pick show here for Saturday, September 21st. We have all 51 games. Before we get them to you, if you're looking for my best bets, my premium plays, click the link in the description for Tony'sPicks.com and you'll get right to my sales page. Also, if you like more free pick videos, subscribe to this channel. And of course, appreciate our work. Give us that like, that thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. All right, let's go ahead. Let's get this one started. Houston and Cincinnati college football pick. Here we go for Saturday. Houston improved to 1-2 after a 33-7 home win to Rice. The Cougars put up 379 yards with 237 rushing for over 5.5 yards a carry. On defense, they held the Owls to 159 yards with 84 passing on 27 attempts. Donovan Smith hit on 12 of 21 passes for 142 yards and a touchdown. Cincinnati 1-1 with their 27-16 road win at Miami, Ohio. Bearcats put up 401 yards with 215 rushing for 7 yards per carry. They surrendered 380 yards to the Redhawks with 356 passing yards on 39 attempts. Brandon Sorsby hit on 21 of 34 passing for 186 yards and a touchdown. Cougars are getting efficient passing, completing 67% of their passes, 7 yards per pass attempt. They have shown improvement defensively, limiting teams to 3.5 yards per run, 5.1 yards per pass attempt. Cincinnati defense allowing 4.6 yards per rush, 8.1 yards per pass attempt. Cougars are 4-1 as a road underdog of 7 or fewer points. Play Houston plus 3.5. Marshall and Ohio State college football pick. Here we go for Saturday. Marshall fell to 1-1 with their 31-14 road defeat to Virginia Tech. Thundering Herd gained 278 yards, 147 rushing for under 6 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 338 yards to the Hokies with 208 rushing yards for 4 yards per rush. Stone Earl hit 13 of 36 passes for 131 yards with a touchdown and pick. Ohio State 2-0, a 56-zip home win to Western Michigan. Buckeyes posted 683 yards, 273 rushing for 6.5 yards a carry. They held the Broncos to 99 yards with 71 passing on 17 attempts. Will Howard 18 of 26 passing for 292 yards with a touchdown. Marshall run game generating 6.5 yards per carry with an average of 31 carries a game. Their defense limits foes to 4.1 yards per rush. The Buckeyes defense has been outstanding, holding teams to 1.5 yards per rush, 4.4 yards per pass attempt. Play Marshall and Ohio State under 51. Charlotte and Indiana college football pick. Here we go for Saturday. Charlotte 1-2 after their 27-26 home win to FCS Gardner-Webb. The prior week was a 38-20 road defeat at North Carolina. They put up 358 yards on the Tar Heels defense with 49 rushing for 2 yards a carry. They allowed 409 yards to North Carolina with 269 rushing for 6 yards per run. Max Brown 8 of 12 passing for 175 yards. Brown's injured and questionable here. Freshman backup Deshaun Purdy suffered a leg injury and was questionable. Third string Trexler Ivy was effective in relief. Ivy saw work in 10 games last year and struggled with accuracy and efficiency. Indiana 3-0 after their 42-13 road win at UCLA. The Hoosiers put up 430 yards, 123 rushing for over 4 yards a carry. On defense, they limited the Bruins to 238 yards with 96 rushing for under 4 yards per rush. Curtis Rourke, he goes 25 of 33 for 307 yards and 4 touchdowns. Ivy's experience the key here. The 49ers are throwing for 279 yards, averaging 7.5 yards per pass attempt. They were able to cover in that North Carolina game. Charlotte 9-4 as a road underdog, and Indiana 2-5 as a home favorite. Play Charlotte plus 28. Kansas and West Virginia college football pick Saturday. Kansas fell to 1-2 after their 23-20 home defeat to UNLV. The Jayhawks put up 352 yards, 199 rushing for over 5.5 yards a carry. On defense, they held the Rebels to 267 yards, 181 rushing for under 4 yards per rush. Jalen Daniels hit 12 of 24 passes for 153 yards, 2 interceptions. West Virginia sits at 1-2 with their 38-34 road defeat at Pittsburgh. Mountaineers gained 398 yards, 188 rushing for 4.2 yards a carry. Their defense gave up 279 yards to the Panthers with 301 passing on 30 attempts. Garrett Green, he goes 16 of 30 passes for 21 yards and 2 touchdowns, 2 picks as well. Daniel struggles at quarterback. The concern here, the Jayhawks completing just 53% of their passes for only 5.3 yards per pass attempt. West Virginia offense is flowing well here, 5.3 yards per run, 7.3 yards per pass attempt. They are defending the run well. Mountaineers 5-3 to the spread as a home favorite. Quarterback Green is experienced. Play West Virginia plus 2.5. Minus 2.5 in this one. James Madison and North Carolina college football pick Saturday. James Madison 2-0 after the 13-6 win 2 weeks ago at FCS Gardner-Webb. They opened with a 37 road win at Charlotte. In that win, they put up 417 yards, 198 rushing for 4.7 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 324 yards to the 49ers with 198 passing on 45 attempts. Alonzo Barrett, 10 of 18 passing for 219 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. North Carolina 3-0 after their 45-10 home win to FCS North Carolina Central. 2 weeks ago, it was a 38-20 home win to Charlotte. In that win, the Tar Heels gained 480 yards, 269 rushing yards for 6 yards per rush. On defense, they allowed 358 yards to the 49ers with 309 passing yards on 31 attempts. Connor Harrell goes 16-25 for 219 yards with 2 touchdowns and a pick. Big step-up game for the Dukes after facing Charlotte and Gardner-Webb in their opener. Barnett, first-year starter in his first real test against a major conference team. The Tar Heels' ground game generated nearly 6 yards a carry, which should help Harrell in the passing game. Their defense really smothers teams on the ground. They're only giving up 53% completion rate. There was a coaching change this season for James Madison, and that brought back only 7 starters. Played North Carolina minus 10.5. NC State and Clemson college football pick Saturday. NC State 2-1 after the 30-20 home win to Louisiana Tech. Wolfpack put up 361 yards, 36 rushing for 4 yards per rush. On defense, they allowed 324 yards to the Bulldogs with 281 passing yards on 36 attempts. Grayson McCall here, 9 of 13 passing for 54 yards. McCall was banged up and came off on the bench for the backup C.J. Bailey. He is questionable here. Clemson sits at 1-1 with their 66-20 home win to App State. The Tigers put up 712 yards, 252 rushing for 7.5 yards per rush. On defense, they allowed 363 yards to the Mountaineers with 214 passing on 43 attempts. Cade Klubnik, 24 of 26 passing for 378 yards and 5 touchdowns. NC State running for only 4.1 yards a carry. The quarterback situation with the Wolfpack, the concern, Wolfpack is allowing 5 yards per rush and facing a Clemson offense that produces 5.2 yards per carry, 9 yards per pass set. Remember, NC State was crushed in the trenches by the physical offensive and D lines of Tennessee. Clemson offensive defensive lines here. The difference, play Clemson minus 20.5. Rice and Army college football pick Saturday. Rice fell to 1-2 with a 33-7 road defeat to Houston. The Owls put up only 159 yards, 75 rushing for 3 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 379 yards to the Cougars with 237 rushing for 5.6 yards per run. E.J. Warner here, 12 of 21 passing for 50 yards and a pick. Army 2-0 after their 24-7 road win at FAU. The Black Knights gained 449 yards, 405 rushing for 7 yards a carry. On defense, they limited the Owls to 245 yards with 193 passing on 37 attempts. Bryson Daly, 1 of 4 passing, 44 yards on a touchdown. Rice piled up stats with their win against FCS Texas Southern. Remember, they were outscored 67-21 by Houston and Sam Houston. Army ground game is strong to start the year and have defended the run and pass well. Play Army minus 5. Tulane and Louisiana college football pick Saturday. Tulane 1-2 after the 34-19 road defeat to Oklahoma. The Green Wave put up 279 yards, 106 rushing for 3 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 349 yards to the Sooners with 182 rushing for 4 yards per rush. Darian Mensah hit 14 of 32 passes for 166 yards with a touchdown and pick. Louisiana 2-0 after the 34-10 road win at Kennesaw State. Raging Cajuns put up 454 yards, 257 rushing for 7 yards per carry. Defensively, they limited the Owls to 204 yards with 93 passing on 14 attempts. Ben Woodridge, 15 and 19 passing for 189 yards and a touchdown. Green Wave passing game creates big plays with 9.5 yards per pass attempt and running for 4.5 yards a carry. Louisiana played a weak schedule with Kennesaw State grambling there. Green Wave holds opponents just 6 yards per pass attempt. Against a weak schedule, the Raging Cajuns are allowing 63% completion rate. Green Wave 8-2 to the spread on the road, play Tulane at -3. Florida and Mississippi State college football pick Saturday. Florida 1-2 after their 33-20 home defeat to Texas A&M. The Gators put up 301 yards, 52 rushing for 2.1 yards per rush. On defense, they allowed 488 yards to the Aggies with 310 rushing for 5.6 yards a carry. Graham Mertz 12 of 15 passing for 195 yards with a touchdown and pick. Mississippi State 1-2 after their 41-17 home defeat to Toledo. Bulldogs put up 385 yards, 66 rushing for under 3 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 454 yards to the Rockets with 285 passing yards on 28 attempts. Blake Shapen, 28 of 39 passing for 319 yards and 2 touchdowns and a pick. Florida runs for 4.1 yards a carry. Mississippi State really struggles on the ground, 3.5 yards per attempt. They do defend the pass well, and opponents rush for just 3.6 yards per carry against them. Both offenses really struggled against FBS opponents. Play Florida and Mississippi State under 59. Ohio and Kentucky college football pick Saturday. Ohio is 2-1 after their 21-6 home win to FCS Morgan State. Now, 2 weeks ago, it was a 27-10 home win to South Alabama. In that win, they put up 404 yards, 200 rushing for 5 yards a carry. Offensively, the Bobcats allowed 336 yards to the Jaguars, 228 passing yards on 37 attempts. It was Parker Navarro, 20 of 28 passing for 204 yards and a touchdown. Kentucky fell to 1-2, a 13-12 home defeat to Georgia. Wildcats put up 284 yards, 170 rushing for 3.8 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 262 yards to the Bulldogs with 102 rushing for under 3.5 yards a carry. Brock Vandegrift, 14 of 27 passing for 114 yards. Ohio has run effectively this year, 6.7 yards per rush. On defense, they hold opponents to 4.2 yards a carry. Kentucky struggles to defend the pass, allowing 68% completions, 7.7 yards per attempt. The passing game has been inefficient for the Wildcats. Tough to lay nearly 3 touchdowns with Kentucky after that physical game against Georgia. Play Ohio plus 20. Ball State and Central Michigan college football pick Saturday. Ball State 1-1 after their 62-0 road defeat at Miami. Cardinals gained 115 yards, 6 rushing on 20 carries. On defense, they surrendered 750 yards with 507 passing and 40 attempts. Cade Simonza, 16 of 26 passing for 111 yards and a pick. Central Michigan fell here to 1-2, a 30-9 road loss to Illinois. Chippewas put up 308 yards, 142 passing for over 4 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 379 yards to the final line with 242 passing yards on 29 attempts. Joe Labas, 12 of 25 passing for 125 yards and a pick. Ball State returned only 1 starter on defense. They gave up 34 points to FCS Missouri State in the opener. The Cardinals allowing 8 yards per run, 75% completions, 12.7 yards per pass attempt. Chippewas are running for the ball right now for about 4.5 yards a carry. They hold opposing quarterbacks at 6.5 yards per pass attempt, a 58% completion rate. Ball State 0-5 of the spread on the road over their past 5 September games. Play Central Michigan here minus 6.5. Virginia and Coastal Carolina college football pick for Saturday. Virginia 2-1 after a 27-13 home defeat here to Maryland. Cavaliers gained 370 yards, 123 rushing for 4 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 391 yards to Terrapins, 263 passing on 43 attempts. Anthony Colandrea, 21-37 for 247 yards and 2 picks. Coastal Carolina moves to 3-0, a 28-20 road win at Temple. The Chanticleers put up 287 yards, 184 rushing, 4.5 yards a carry. They held the Owls to 314 yards with 185 passing yards on 25 attempts. Ethan Vasco, 15 of 21 passing, 103 yards with a touchdown. Virginia pass attack is averaging 300 yards, getting accuracy with downfield throws of 8.5 yards per attempt. They defend well, holding teams to 3.6 yards per run. Coastal Carolina has played a weak schedule, facing Temple, William & Mary, and Jacksonville State, and give up over 20 points per game against each one of these teams. Play Virginia minus 3.5. Utah State and Temple college football pick Saturday. Utah State fell to 0-1 here with their 38-21 home defeat to Utah. Aggies put up 385 yards, 140 rushing, 4.5 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 460 yards to the Utes, 221 rushing for nearly 5.5 yards a carry. Spencer Petras missed the past 2 weeks, upgraded probable this week. Petras is a transfer from Iowa who completed 56% of his passes last year, 6.1 yards per pass attempt. Temple 0-3, a 28-20 home defeat to Coastal Carolina. Owls gained 314 yards, 129 rushing for nearly 4 yards per rush. On defense, they held the Chanticleers to 287 yards, 183 passing on 21 attempts. Forrest Brook has a head injury, is questionable here. Evan Simon went 17 of 25 for 185 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Rutgers transfer Simon's performance last week encouraging here. Utah State is struggling in pass defense, allowing 68% completion rate, 253 yards passing. Opponents rush for 5.5 yards to carry on them. The Owls are holding opponents to 125 passing yards, 6.3 yards per pass attempt. The Aggies 3-12 of the spread on the road in their past 15. Temple is 9-6 of the spread in their past 15 at home. Play Temple plus 6. Arkansas State and Iowa State college football pick Saturday. Arkansas State 2-1 after their 28-18 road defeat to Michigan. Red Wolves put up 280 yards, 58 rushing for 2.2 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 435 yards to the Wolverines with 301 passing for 6.8 yards per rush. Jalen Rayner, 19 of 33 passing for 140 yards with a pick. Iowa State 2-0 after a 20-19 road win at Iowa. Cyclones overcame a 13-zip halftime deficit. They gained 361 yards with 89 rushing for 3.5 yards per carry. On defense, they held the Hawkeyes to 303 yards, 99 passing yards on 29 attempts. Rocco Becht, 23 of 35 passing for 272 yards with 2 touchdowns and a pick. Red Wolves' offense has produced only 3.5 yards per rush and have been inefficient in the passing game. Iowa State has defended the pass very well, allowing 51% completions, 3.7 yards per pass attempt. On offense, they run for 3.5 yards a carry. Play Arkansas State and Iowa State under 51.5. Southern Miss and Jacksonville State college football pick Saturday. Southern Miss fell to 1-2 after their 49-24 home defeat to USF. Golden Eagles put up 487 yards, 90 rushing for 3 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 562 yards with 369 rushing for over 6.5 yards a carry. Tate Rodemaker, 10 of 15 passing for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's been upgraded to probable having taken part in practice on Tuesday. Jacksonville State 0-3 after the 37-34 road defeat at Eastern Michigan. Gamecocks put up 423 yards, 112 rushing for over 3 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed the Eagles 447 yards, 295 passing on 39 attempts. Logan Smothers missed last week with an injury and questionable here. Senior Tyler Huff, 24 of 34 passing for 311 yards and 2 touchdowns. Golden Eagles really are struggling to get a run game going, just 3.3 yards a carry. They do defend the pass well. The Gamecocks generate only 4 yards per rush and rush at a high volume. Golden Eagles 4-2 the under in their past 6 road non-conference games. Gamecocks 5-2 the under in their past 7 at home. Play Southern Miss and Jacksonville State under 60.5. Kent and Penn State college football pick Saturday. Kent 0-2 after their 71-0 road defeat at Tennessee. Golden Flashes put up 112 yards with 54 rushing for under 2 yards per rush. On defense, they gave 740 yards to the Volunteers with 456 rushing for nearly 8 yards a carry. Devin Cargman, 9 of 15 passing for 58 yards. Penn State 2-0 after their 34-27 home win to Bowling Green. Nittany Lions gained 438 yards in the game here with 234 rushing for 6.3 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 375 yards to the Falcons with 121 rushing for over 4 yards per run. Drew Eller, 13 of 20 for 204 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. This is a rebuilding Kent State team that lost by 31 to Pitt, dropped a 6-point decision at home to an FCS team. The Golden Flashes are running for just 1.7 yards a carry, allowing 6.4 yards per rush to opponents. The pass defense gave up 9 yards per pass attempt. Penn State's rushing for nearly 6 yards a carry. They're throwing for 11.5 yards per pass attempt. Play Penn State here, minus 49. Buffalo and Northern Illinois college football pick Saturday. Buffalo improved to 2-1, a 34-3 home win at UMass. Bulls put up 314 yards, 129 rushing for over 3 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 193 yards to the Minutemen with 121 passing on 29 attempts. CJ Ogbonna, 14-23 passing for 185 yards and a touchdown. Northern Illinois 2-0 after their 16-14 road win at Notre Dame. The Huskies put up 388 yards, 190 rushing for 4.2 yards a carry. On defense, they held the Fighting Irish to 286 yards, 163 passing yards on 33 attempts. Ethan Hampton, 10 of 19 passing for 198 yards and a touchdown. Final Night is running for 6 yards a carry, getting efficient passing this year, 67% completion rate, 12.1 yards per pass step. They're holding opponents at 3.8 yards a carry. Buffalo really struggling with accuracy in their passing game, playing Northern Illinois here, minus 14. Georgia Tech and Louisville college football pick. This one here on Saturday. Georgia Tech 3-1 after their 59-7 home win to FCS VMI. 2 weeks ago, they were beaten at Syracuse 31-28. In their first loss, the Yellow Jackets gained 378 yards, 112 rushing for 4.5 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 515 yards to the Orange with 381 passing yards on 46 attempts. Haynes King hit 29-39 passing for 266 yards and a touchdown. Louisville 2-0 after their 49-14 home win to Jacksonville State. The Cardinals produced 610 yards, 233 rushing yards for 6.5 yards a carry. On defense, they held the Gamecocks at 290 yards with 130 rushing for over 4 yards a carry. Ryler Shaw, 21-33 passing for 349 yards with 2 touchdowns. Georgia Tech passed defense, allowing 66% completion rate, 7 yards per pass attempt. The Cardinals' numbers were impressive early here, 8.5 yards per run, 72% completion rate, 9.5 yards per pass attempt. Cardinals hold opponents at 2.5 yards per run, 4.5 yards per pass attempt. Louisville 10-2 the spread as a home favorite. Yellow Jackets' pass defense in their road game. Syracuse is the concern here. Play Louisville here, minus the 10. Rutgers and Virginia Tech college football pick Saturday. Rutgers 2-0 after their 49-17 home win to Akron. The Scarlet Knights produced 515 yards, 285 rushing for 6.5 yards a carry. On defense, they gave up 307 yards to the Zips, 156 rushing yards for 6 yards a carry. Ethan Kalkmanis, 14-23 passing for 230 yards and 3 touchdowns and a pick. Virginia Tech 2-1 with a 37-17 road win at Old Dominion. The Hokies gained 465 yards, 289 rushing for over 5.5 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 293 yards to the Monarchs with 50 passing yards on 14 attempts. Kyron Drones, 15-26 passing for 176 yards with a touchdown and interception. Rutgers ground game producing 6.8 yards a carry. They're defending well, limiting opponents to 4.9 yards a carry, 4.5 yards per pass attempt. The Hokies are running for only 4.3 yards a carry. The Scarlet Knights 2-0 to the spread when an underdog of 3 plus 3.5 to plus 10 points. Virginia Tech 1-4 to the spread at home in the non-conference. We'll take Rutgers plus 3.5. Arkansas and Auburn college football pick action here for Saturday. Arkansas 2-1 after their 37-27 home win to UAB. The Razorbacks put up 427 yards, 266 yards rushing for 7 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 354 yards to the Blazers with 235 passing on 32 attempts. Dalen Green 11-26 passing for 161 yards. Auburn 2-1, a 45-19 home win in New Mexico. Tigers gained 513 yards, 268 rushing for 4.2 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 448 yards to the Lobos with 291 passing yards on 44 attempts. Hank Brown, 17 of 25 passing for 235 yards and 4 touchdowns. Arkansas getting good offensive production with 6.4 yards per run, 10 yards per pass attempt. They're strong defending the run, allowing 53% completion rate. Auburn pass defense a concern here. The Razorbacks 10-4 of the spread in their past 14 road games. Auburn 3-6 of the spread at home in their past 9 September games. Play Arkansas plus 3.5. Arizona State and Texas Tech college football pick Saturday. Arizona State improved to 3-0 after their 31-28 road win at Texas State. Sun Devils gained 347 yards, 101 rushing for under 3 yards per rush. On defense, they allowed 400 yards to the Bobcats with 268 passing yards on 44 attempts. Sam Leavitt, 19 of 30 passing for 246 yards with a touchdown and interception. Texas Tech now 2-1 with their 66-21 home win in North Texas. The Red Raiders posted 586 yards, 233 rushing yards for 6.3 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 253 yards to the Mean Green with 135 rushing yards for nearly 4 yards per rush. Baron Morton, 15 of 19 passing for 273 yards and 4 touchdowns. ASU gets good production from their ground attack, 4.8 yards a carry. They are getting plays downfield in the passing game with 8 yards per pass attempt. The Sun Devils holding opponents at 2.3 yards per run. Red Raiders allowing 280 passing yards per game, 8.4 yards per pass attempt, 4.7 yards per rush. ASU 7-3 as a road underdog. Play Arizona State here, plus 3. USC and Michigan college football pick action here for Saturday. USC 2-0 after their 48-0 home win to Utah State. Trojans put up 544 yards, 249 rushing for 6.7 yards per rush. On defense, they held the Aggies to 190 yards, 87 rushing for under 4 yards per carry. Miller Moss 21 of 30 passing for 229 yards and a touchdown. Michigan improved to 2-1, a 28-18 home win to Arkansas State. Wolverines gained 435 yards, 301 rushing for 6.8 yards per rush. On defense, they allowed 280 yards to the Red Wolves with 58 rushing for 2.2 yards per carry. Davis Warren is benched. Junior Alex Orji will get the start at quarterback. He's thrown 7 passes as a backup since 2022. USC put up good balanced attack, 5.6 yards per rush, 72% completion rate, 8.6 yards per pass attempt. Defensive Trojans are allowing 4.2 yards a carry, 6.3 yards per pass attempt, getting good tackling from the secondary. But Michigan's run game generating 5.3 yards a carry. On defense, they hold opponents at 2.7 yards per run, 6.1 yards per pass attempt. Trojans' first test against, I would still consider Michigan a stout defensive team, and they're on the road for this one. We'll take Michigan here, plus 5.5. Miami, Ohio, and Notre Dame college football pick. This one here Saturday. Miami, Ohio 0-2 after their 27-16 home defeat to Cincinnati. The Red Hawks here put up 380 yards, 24 rushing for just 1 yard per carry. On defense, they allowed 401 yards to the Bearcats with 215 rushing for 6.3 yards a carry. Brett Gabbert, 23 of 35 passing for 339 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Notre Dame improved to 2-1, a 66-7 road win at Purdue. The Fighting Irish gained 578 yards, 362 rushing for 8.2 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 222 yards to the Boilermakers with 38 rushing yards for 1.5 yards a carry. Riley Leonard completed 11 of 16 passes for 112 yards. Redhawks are living off the arm of Brett Gabbert as they're throwing for 291 yards, 7.7 yards per pass attempt. This was a program that was hit with departing players, but in the transport, but efficient in the passing game. On defense, they hold teams to 5.7 yards per pass attempt. Miami, Ohio, 12-6 of the spread in their road games. Notre Dame, 1-4 of the spread in their past 5 home September games. Play Miami, Ohio here, plus 28. Memphis and Navy college football pick. This one here on Saturday. Memphis 3-0 after their 20-12 road win at Florida State. Tigers gained 337 yards, 65 rushing for 2 yards per rush. On defense, they held the Seminoles to 238 yards with 37 rushing for 1.5 yards per carry. Seth Hennigan, 25 of 38 passing, 272 yards with 2 touchdowns and a pick. Navy now 2-0, a 38-11 home win at Temple. Midshipmen put up 409 yards, 297 rushing for nearly 6 yards a carry. On defense, they did give up 312 yards to the Owls with 277 passing yards on 45 attempts. Blake Horvath, 5-9 passing for 112 yards and a touchdown. Navy has faced a weak schedule as they met Temple and FCS Bucknell at home. The Tigers' defense holding opponents at 2.3 yards per rush, along with only 5.5 yards per pass attempt. Memphis is an experienced team, 17 starters back with 10 on offense. Their passing game is averaging 68% completion rate, 7.5 yards per pass attempt. Navy's allowing 60% completions, 6.4 yards per pass attempt against a weak competition, playing Memphis -9. UCLA and LSU college football pick Saturday. UCLA 1-1 after their 42-13 home defeat to Indiana. The Bruins gained only 238 yards, 96 rushing for under 4 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 430 yards with 307 passing yards on 33 attempts. Ethan Garbers 14-23 passing for 137 yards and a pick. LSU 2-1 after their 36-33 road win at South Carolina. The Tigers put up 417 yards with 132 rushing for over 4 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 398 yards to the Gamecocks with 243 rushing for nearly 6 yards a carry. LSU defense giving up 4.5 yards per rush, 68% completion rate, 8.6 yards per pass attempt. The Tigers are running for only 4 yards a carry. UCLA's defense is holding teams at 3 yards per carry on the ground. Bruins 3-0 to the spread on the road against these bad defensive teams that allow 5.9 yards per play or greater. Look at, man, LSU's defense really makes it tough to lay this points here. We'll take UCLA +24. Utah and Oklahoma State college football pick Saturday. Utah improves to 3-0 with a 38-21 road win at Utah State. The Utes gained 460 yards, 221 rushing for 7 yards per rush. On defense, they allowed 385 yards to the Aggies with 245 passing yards on 35 attempts. Cameron Rising is set to return as a starting quarterback. You know, he played in week 2 going 8-14 for 92 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was sidelined for a while. Oklahoma State sits at 3-0, a 45-10 road win at Tulsa. The Cowboys gained 560 yards, 129 rushing for under 4 yards per rush. On defense, they allowed 352 yards to the Golden Hurricane with 236 passing on 37 attempts. Alan Bowman, 24 of 31 passing for 396 yards with 5 touchdowns and a pick. Utah, not that elite run stopper this year. They're giving up 4.1 yards per rush and 140 rushing yards a game. Opponents are averaging 7 yards per pass completion against them. The Cowboys' passing game averaging 8.5 yards per pass attempt, 66% completion rate. The Utes 1-4 to the spread in their past 5 road games on field turf on this fast service. The Cowboys 5-0 to the spread in their past 5 home games as an underdog. Play Oklahoma State here +2. Duke and the Middle Tennessee State college football pick Saturday. Duke 3-0 with their 26-21 home win to Connecticut. The Blue Devils put up 419 yards, 142 rushing for 3.5 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 314 yards to the Huskies with 179 rushing yards for 4.8 yards per carry. Malik Murphy 28-43 passing for 267 yards with 3 touchdowns and a pick. Middle Tennessee State falls to 1-2, a 49-21 home defeat to Western Kentucky. Blue Raiders gained 516 yards, 58 of it rushing for 2.5 yards a rush. On defense, they allowed 631 yards to the Hilltoppers with 481 passing yards on 37 attempts. Nicholas Fatadio, 24 of 31 passing for 456 yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Blue Raiders rushing for only 2.5 yards a carry. Their defense playing really bad right now, giving up nearly 5 yards a carry and 77% completion rate, 10.2 yards per pass attempt. Blue Devils are defending well, holding teams to 3.1 yards per rush, 4.4 yards per pass attempt. They are 4-1 of the spread on the road in the non-conference. Blue Raiders 1-3 to the spread as a home dog. Play Duke minus 14.5. Vanderbilt and Missouri college football pick Saturday. Vanderbilt drops to 2-1 with a 36-32 road defeat to Georgia State. The Commodores put up 380 yards, 11 rushing for 3.2 yards per rush. Defensively, they allowed 426 yards to the Panthers with 269 passing on 41 attempts. Diego Pavia, 18 of 33 passing for 270 yards with 2 touchdowns. Missouri 3-0, a 27-21 home win to Boston College. The Tigers put up 430 yards, 176 rushing for 4.1 yards per rush. On defense, they allowed 298 yards to the Eagles with 249 passing yards on 28 attempts. Brady Cook, 21 of 30 for 264 yards and a touchdown. Commodores rushing for only 3.2 yards a carry. The passing game has been accurate with a 54% completion rate. Missouri is defending well by limiting opponents to 2.4 yards per rush and only 46% completions, 5.3 yards per pass attempt. The Tigers are 8-4 to the under as a home favorite. Play Vanderbilt and Missouri under 54. UTEP and Colorado State college football pick Saturday. UTEP 0-3 after their 28-10 road defeat at Liberty. The Miners gained 335 yards, 91 rushing for 3 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 407 yards to the Flames with 179 rushing for 4.2 yards a carry. Skylar Locklear, 26 of 43 passing for 244 yards with a touchdown and 2 picks. Colorado State now 1-2. A 28-9 home defeat to Colorado. Rams gained 440 yards, 131 rushing, 4.2 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 419 yards to the Buffs with 310 passing on 49 attempts. Braylon Fowler-Nicolosi, 22 of 39 passing for 209 yards and 2 picks. Miners running for just 3 yards a carry. Colorado State is getting inefficient quarterback play. On defense, they hold opponents to 4.3 yards a carry. The Rams 9-4 to the under at home. Play UTEP and Colorado State under 50. TCU and SMU college football pick Saturday. TCU 2-1 after their 35-34 home defeat to UCF. The Horned Frogs gained 460 yards, 58 rushing for 3.2 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 519 yards to the Knights with 289 rushing yards for 5.4 yards a carry. Josh Hoover completed 35 of 52 passes for 402 yards with 4 touchdowns. SMU 2-1 with their 18-15 home defeat to BYU. The Mustangs gained 261 yards with 117 rushing for 3.3 yards per run. On defense, they held the Cougars at 336 yards, 202 passing on 29 attempts. Kevin Jennings here, 15 of 32 passing for 140 yards and a pick. Horned Frogs struggle in run defense, allowing 4.6 yards a carry. They are running for only 3.7 yards per attempt. Mustangs rushing for over 4.5 yards a carry and averaging 7.2 yards per pass attempt. Their defense has been solid, holding teams to 3 yards a carry. SMU has been strong in defending the pass, allowing 49% completions, 5.7 yards per pass attempt. Horned Frogs 6-8 to the spread on the road. Mustangs 8-5 to the spread at home. We'll take SMU +3. East Carolina and Liberty college football pick. This one here goes off on a Saturday. All right, East Carolina enters this one here. Well, they're 2-1 after they suffer a loss here, 21-19. They lose to App State at home. The Pirates gained 314 yards, 98 rushing for 3.3 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 505 yards to the Mountaineers with 424 passing yards on 47 attempts. Jake Garcia, 18-28 passing for 226 yards with a touchdown and pick. Liberty now 3-0, a 28-10 home win to UTEP. The Flames produced 416 yards, 179 rushing for 4.2 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 335 yards to the Miners with 244 passing yards on 43 attempts. Kane Salter here, 15 of 19 passing, 228 yards with a touchdown. Pirates are getting efficient play at the quarterback position, 66% completion rate, 8.3 yards per pass attempt. Defensively, they're holding teams to just 1.8 yards per rush, less than 7 yards per pass attempt. Now, Liberty's numbers are great on both sides, but they've played a really weak schedule. The concern here is they gave up 24 points at New Mexico State and then 24 at home to FCS Campbell. The Flames are 5-9 to the spread as a home favorite. Play East Carolina at +6. Miami and South Florida college football pick for action on Saturday. Miami 3-0 after their 62-0 home win at Ball State. The Hurricanes gained 750 yards, 243 rushing for 8 yards per carry. On defense, they held the Cardinals to 115 yards with 6 rushing yards on 20 carries. Cam Ward goes 19-28 for 346 yards with 5 touchdowns. USF 2-1 after their 49-24 road win at Southern Miss. Bulls put up 562 yards, 369 rushing for 7.2 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 487 yards to the Golden Eagles with 397 passing yards on 33 attempts. Byron Brown hit 19-29 passes for 193 yards and 2 touchdowns. Miami defense has played well, holding opponents to 2.7 yards per run and only 4.3 yards per pass attempt. USF is limiting foes here to 3 yards a carry and a 57% completion rate. They defended the Crimson Tide well for 4 quarters in a game that landed under. Play Miami and USF under 65. Cal and Florida State's college football pick. This one here on Saturday. Cal 3-0 after the 31-10 home win at San Diego State. Golden Bears gained 473 yards, 275 rushing for 11 yards a carry. On defense, they held the Aztecs at 276 yards with 166 passing yards on 30 attempts. Fernando Mendoza, 21 of 29 passing for 198 yards with 2 touchdowns and an interception. Florida State fell to 0-3 with their 20-12 home defeat to Memphis. The Seminoles put up 238 yards, 37 rushing for under 2 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 338 yards in the game with 272 passing yards on 39 attempts. DJ Ugalale, 16 of 30 passing for 201 yards and a pick. Cal is getting accurate quarterback play. The defense has been outstanding by holding teams to 3.5 yards per run and only 49% completion rate with 5.3 yards per pass attempt. Florida State offense is the issue here. They run for just 1.5 yards a carry, getting inaccurate play at quarterback. Seminoles are giving up 65% completion rate, 7.4 yards per pass attempt. Of course, Cal does have a road win at Auburn. Play at Cal +2.5. Northwestern and Washington college football pick Saturday. Northwestern 2-1 after their 31-7 home win to the FCS school Eastern Illinois. The previous week they dropped a 26-20 home overtime defeat to Duke. The Wildcats in defeat gained 288 yards, 132 rushing for 3.5 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 343 yards to the Blue Devils with 250 passing on 40 attempts. Mike Wright was benched. Jack Losh took over in the FCS win last week with good numbers. He threw 11 passes the past 2 seasons in a backup role. Washington 2-1 with their 24-19 home defeat to Washington State. Huskies put up, it was a neutral site game in Seattle. The Huskies put up 452 yards, 126 rushing for 4.1 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 381 yards to the Cougars with 245 passing yards on 34 attempts. Will Rogers, 23 of 31 passing for 314 yards and a touchdown. Northwestern runs for 4.7 yards a carry. The quarterback change looks like an upgrade. The Huskies are a good offensive team that runs for 5.5 yards per rush. Passing right here for the Huskies. They're completing 9.6 yards per pass attempt, 307 yards per game. The play will be Northwestern Washington over 42.5. Wyoming and North Texas college football pick Saturday. Wyoming 0-3 after their 34-14 home defeat to BYU. The Cowboys produced 217 yards, 77 rushing for 2.5 yards per rush. On defense, the Cowboys allowed 558 yards to the Cougars with 318 passing yards on 39 attempts. Evan Svoboda, 14 of 32 passing for 140 yards and a pick. North Texas drops to 2-1 with a 66-21 road defeat to Texas Tech. The Mean Green put up 353 yards, 135 rushing for 4 yards per rush. On defense, they allowed 586 yards to the Red Raiders with 354 passing yards on 34 attempts. Chandler Morris, 15 of 27 passing for 162 yards with 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. The Cowboys offensively very poor here. 1.3 yards per rush here. Average only 3.9 yards per pass step. Defensively, they're allowing 5 yards a carry and nearly 12 yards per pass attempt. North Texas, we know, high-octane offensive team. They're running for 4.2 yards a carry. They get efficient quarterback play, 329 yards per game, 8.5 yards per pass attempt. Of course, the Cowboys were blown out at Arizona State and at home to BYU. They have a 4-point home loss to an FCS school in Idaho. They are 5-8 to the spread in their past 13 on the road, playing North Texas, -9. FAU and UConn college football pick for Saturday. FAU 1-2 after the 39-20 home win to FIU. The Owls gained 420 yards, 259 rushing for 5 yards a carry. On defense, they gave up 368 yards to the Panthers with 281 passing yards on 35 attempts. Cam Fachner, 14 of 26 passing for 161 yards. UConn sits at 1-2 after their 26-21 road defeat at Duke. The Huskies gained 314 yards, 179 rushing for 4.8 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 409 yards to the Blue Devils with 267 passing yards on 43 attempts. Nick Evers, 15 of 29 passing for 135 yards with a touchdown and pick. FIU pass defense limits opponents at 51% completion rate on the season. UConn struggling with their passing game with only 45% completion rate, 5.6 yards per pass attempt. Opponents complete 69% of their passes on the Huskies with 8.1 yards per pass attempt. FAU held Michigan State to 16 points in the opener. FAU 4-2 as a road underdog. Play FAU plus 2.5. Tulsa and Louisiana Tech college football pick Saturday. Tulsa 1-2 with their 45-10 home win to Oklahoma State in that one. Golden Hurricane gained 352 yards, 116 rushing for 3.5 yards per carry. On defense, they allowed 560 yards to the Cowboys with 431 yards passing on 39 attempts. Kirk Francis hit 14 of 31 passing for 153 yards and a pick. Louisiana Tech 1-1 with their 30-20 road defeat at NC State. The Bulldogs gained 314 yards with 33 rushing for under 2 yards per rush. On defense, they allowed 361 yards to the Wolfpack with 151 rushing for 4.2 yards a carry. Jack Turner, 19 of 36 passing for 281 yards with a touchdown and interception. Tulsa has put up strong offensive numbers this year, 5.7 yards per rush, 7.6 yards per pass attempt. They defend their run well. The Bulldogs struggled running the football and getting an accurate play at quarterback. Golden Hurricane 7-2 the spread as a road underdog. Louisiana Tech 0-5 the spread of facing offenses that average 31 or greater points per game. Play Tulsa plus 3. New Mexico State and Sam Houston State college football pick. This one Saturday. All right, New Mexico State fell to 1-2 with their 48-0 road defeat to Fresno State. The Aggies gained 138 yards with 77 rushing for under 3 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 525 yards to the Bulldogs with 281 rushing yards for 6.5 yards a carry. Parker Awad, 6 of 15 passing for 48 yards and a pick. Sam Houston improved to 2-1 after their 31-13 home win to Hawaii. The Bearcats put up 422 yards, 257 rushing for 5.5 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 308 yards to the Warriors with 56 rushing for under 3 yards a carry. Hunter Watson here, the 15-23 passing for 165 yards with 3 touchdowns and a pick. New Mexico State's offense abysmal here. They run for 3.3 yards a carry. Quarterback play just produces 36% completion rate, 3.8 yards per pass attempt. On defense, they allow 5.7 yards per run, 8 yards per pass attempt. The Bearcats are rushing for over 4 yards a carry, and they're getting efficient play at the quarterback position. They do hold opposing quarterbacks to only 6.3 yards per pass attempt. Play Sam Houston State minus the 16.5. Toledo and Western Kentucky college football pick Saturday. Toledo 3-0 after their 41-17 road win at Mississippi State. The Rockets gained 454 yards, 169 rushing yards for 3.8 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 385 yards to the Bulldogs with 66 rushing for under 3 yards a carry. Tucker Gleason goes 23 of 28 passing for 285 yards and 3 touchdowns. Western Kentucky 2-1 with their 49-21 road win at Middle Tennessee State. The Hilltoppers put up 631 yards, 150 rushing for 4.4 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 514 yards to the Blue Raiders with 456 passing yards on 31 attempts. Caden Veldkamp 21-39 passing for 409 yards and 5 touchdowns. The Rockets have an efficient passing game, 65% completions, 9.3 yards per pass attempt. They defend well, holding teams to 3 yards a carry and just 6.8 yards per pass attempt. WKU, a really bad defensive team, giving up over 5 yards a carry, 68% completions. And here is a number that's pretty bad, giving up 11.6 yards per pass attempt. We'll take Toledo here minus 2.5. Akron and South Carolina college football pick Saturday. Akron 1-2 after their 31-20 home win to FCS school Colgate. 2 weeks ago, they dropped a 49-17 decision at Rutgers. The Zips gained 307 yards, 156 rushing for 6.1 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 515 yards to the Scarlet Knights with 285 rushing yards for 6.5 yards a carry. Ben Finley here, 14 of 31 passing, 138 yards with a touchdown and pick. South Carolina fell to 2-1, a 36-33 home defeat to LSU. The Gamecocks put up 398 yards, 243 rushing for 5.9 yards per carry. On defense, they gave up 417 yards to the Tigers with 285 yards passing on 40 attempts. The North Stellars, 9 of 16 passing for 113 yards and a pick. He did rush for 88 yards and 2 touchdowns. Akron will be challenged physically here on the line of scrimmage. They allow 5 yards per rush, and on offense, running for under 3 yards a carry. Gamecocks defense holds team to under 3.5 yards per run, 5.5 yards per pass attempt. They're also a quicker team with a lot of speed. The Gamecocks are 6-1 of the spread at home in their September games. Play South Carolina minus 28. Iowa and Minnesota college football pick Saturday. Iowa improved to 2-1 with their 38-21 home win against Troy. The Hawkeyes gained 462 yards with 284 rushing for 6.3 yards per carry. On defense, they held the Trojans to 253 yards with 24 rushing on 22 carries. Minnesota sits at 2-1 with their 27-0 home win in Nevada. Golden Gophers put up 386 yards, 195 rushing for 6.1 yards per rush. Defensively, they held the Wolfpack to 172 yards with 58 rushing for under 2 yards a carry. Max Brosmer, 16 of 26 passing for 191 yards with a touchdown and a pick. Iowa has a good running game here, but not a downfield passing attack, just 6.3 yards per attempt. The Golden Gophers defense performs well, holding opponents at 2.6 yards per rush, 4.5 yards per pass step. Minnesota's passing attack, well, it's been pretty good here, 68% completions, 8.1 yards per pass step. They are 7-0 to the spread at home in the September games, play Minnesota plus 2.5. Tennessee and Oklahoma college football pick for Saturday. Tennessee 3-0 after their 71-0 home win to Kent. The Volunteers posted 750 yards, 456 rushing for 8.3 yards a carry. On defense, they held the Golden Flashes to 112 yards, 54 rushing for under 2 yards a carry. Nico Amaliva hit on 10 of 16 passes for 173 yards with a touchdown. Oklahoma 3-0, a 34-19 home victory to Tulane. Sooners posted 349 yards, 182 rushing for 4 yards a carry. On defense, Oklahoma allowed 279 yards to the Green Wave with 106 rushing for 3 yards per carry. Jackson Arnold here, 18 of 29 passing for 169 yards with a touchdown and pick. Tennessee's looked outstanding on both sides of the field. Other than the NC State game there, the two other opponents were very weak. Oklahoma has home wins against Tulane and Houston. The Sooners defense giving up just 2.2 yards per run, 59% completion rate. Play here will be on Oklahoma plus 7.5. Bowling Green and Texas A&M college football pick Saturday. Bowling Green here 1-1 with their 34-27 road defeat at Penn State. The Falcons put up 375 yards, 121 rushing for 4.5 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 438 yards to the Nittany Lions with 234 rushing for 6.3 yards per carry. Connor Bazelak, 25 of 39 passing for 254 yards, 2 touchdowns and 2 picks. Texas A&M sits at 2-1, a 33-20 road win at Florida. The Aggies posted 488 yards, 310 rushing for 5.6 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 301 yards to Florida with 52 rushing yards for 2.1 yards a carry. Connor Wegman here was injured and missed the game. He is questionable with no timetable back. Marcel Reed here, 11 of 17 passing for 178 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Texas A&M quarterback situation a concern. The Falcons offense put up 7.2 yards a rush, efficient with their passing game. The Aggies are completing only 54% of their passes, 6.6 yards per attempt. Player will be Bowling Green plus 22.5. Georgia Southern and Ole Miss college football pick for action on Saturday. Georgia Southern now 2-1 after their 42-14 home win to the FCS school South Carolina State. 2 weeks ago, it was a 20-17 road win at Nevada. In that game, they put up 285 yards, 42 rushing for 2.2 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 498 yards to the Wolfpack with 271 passing on 35 attempts. J.C. French, 17-23 passing for 211 yards, 2 touchdowns in the game. Ole Miss 3-0, a 40-6 road win at Wake Forest. Rebels gained 649 yards, 272 rushing for 6 yards a carry. Offensively, they allowed 311 yards to the Demon Deacons with 46 rushing for under 2 yards a carry. Jackson Dart, 26 of 34, 377 yards with 2 touchdowns. And looking at this one, the Eagles' defense pretty poor as they're giving up nearly 7 yards per run, along with 252 yards passing for 7.2 yards per pass attempt. They do move the ball effectively through the air. Ole Miss rushed for 6.3 yards a carry, completing 75% of their passes for 12 yards per pass attempt. Play here will be on Georgia Southern and Ole Miss over 67. Michigan State and Boston College football pick Saturday. Michigan State 3-0 after their 40-0 home win at the FCS school Prairie View. 2 weeks ago, they got past Maryland on the road, 27-24. The Spartans gained 474 yards, 121 rushing for nearly 4 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 349 yards to the Terrapins with 86 rushing for under 3 yards a carry. Aiden Childs, 12-19 passing for 173 yards with a touchdown. Boston College fell to 2-1, a 27-21 road win at Missouri. The Eagles put up 298 yards, 49 of it rushing for under 2 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 340 yards to the Tigers with 264 passing yards on 30 attempts. Thomas Castellanos, 16-28 passing for 249 yards with 3 touchdowns and 2 picks. Michigan State has shown a passing game this year, 61% completion rate, 9.3 yards per pass step. They're running the ball for 4.3 yards a carry, but on defense, the Spartans allowing 76% completions, 7.4 yards per pass attempt. Of course, BC quarterback Thomas Castellanos is a run threat that's running an efficient passing game as well. BC 10-3 to the over in their past 13 at home, playing Michigan State and Boston College over 45. Baylor and Colorado college football pick Saturday. Baylor improved to 2-1, a 31-3 home win to Air Force. The Bears gained 378 yards, 230 rushing for 6 yards a carry. On defense, they held the Falcons to 218 yards, 193 rushing for 3.4 yards a carry. Daquan Finn missed the Air Force game after being ineffective against Utah. Sawyer Robertson, 18-24 passing for 248 yards. Colorado 2-1, a 28-9 road win at Colorado State. Buffs put up 419 yards, 109 rushing for 5.7 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 340 yards to the Rams, 209 passing on 39 attempts. Shedeur Sanders here, 36-49, 310 yards and 4 touchdowns. Colorado passing game generating 69% completion, 8.1 yards per pass attempt. They put up 333 yards a game through the air. On defense, the Buffs allowing 68% completions, 7.2 yards per pass attempt. Quarterback switch to Robertson is an improvement, and it is improving the Bears' pass efficiency. Baylor 9-3 to the over in their past 12 road games. Played Baylor and Colorado over 51. UL Monroe and Texas college football pick Saturday. UL Monroe improved to 2-0, a 32-6 home win to UAB. The Warhawks put up 296 yards, 209 rushing for over 4 yards a carry. On defense, they held the Blazers at 259 yards, 35 rushing for under 3 yards per carry. General Booty here, 9 of 16 passing for 87 yards. Texas 3-0 after their 56-7 home win at UTSA. The Longhorns gained 614 yards, 187 rushing for 5.3 yards a carry. On defense, they held the Roadrunners to 260 yards with 130 passing on 30 attempts. Arch Manning in relief, 9-12 passing for 223 yards and 4 touchdowns. Starting quarterback here, Ewers is questionable, and Manning will start if Ewers is unable to play here. UL Monroe is allowing 75% completion rate. Longhorns put up 54 points a game at home. On defense, they hold opponents at 3.5 yards per run, 4.7 yards per pass attempt, and of course, Texas completing 73% of the passes, 10.2 yards per pass attempt. Player will be on Texas minus 44. Fresno State and New Mexico college football pick Saturday. Fresno State 2-1 after their 48-0 home win to New Mexico State. The Bulldogs put up 525 yards, 281 rushing for 6.5 yards a carry. On defense, they held the Aggies to 138 yards, 61 passing on 29 attempts. Mikey Keene 12-22 passing for 221 yards with 2 touchdowns. Mexico fell to 0-3, a 45-19 road defeat at Auburn. The Lobos put up 448 yards, 157 rushing for 6 yards a carry. On defense, they gave up 503 yards to the Tigers, 268 rushing for 6.7 yards a carry. Devin Dampier, 22-44 passing for 291 yards with a touchdown and 2 picks. New Mexico is defending very poorly, giving up 7.5 yards a carry on the ground, 64% completion rate for nearly 10 yards per pass attempt. Fresno State is getting efficient quarterback play, 8.7 yards per pass attempt. The Bulldogs have defended well, holding foes to 3.7 yards per carry, 49% completion rate, 4.5 yards per pass attempt. The Lobos 0-2 the spread when they're underdogs of between plus 7.5 and plus 14, and 2-5 of the spread at home against the Mountain West. Play here will be Fresno State plus 13. Purdue and Oregon State college football pick Saturday. Purdue 1-1 after their 66-7 home defeat to Notre Dame. The Boilermakers gained 162 yards, 38 rushing for under 2 yards a carry. On defense, the Boilermakers allowed 578 yards to the Fighting Irish with 362 rushing for 8.5 yards a carry. Hudson Card 11-24 passing for 124 yards with a touchdown and 2 picks. Oregon State fell to 2-1, a 49-14 home defeat to Oregon. The Beavers put up 309 yards, 131 rushing for over 4 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 546 yards to the Ducks, 306 passing on 27 attempts. Devontae McCoy, 22 of 34 passing for 172 yards. Both teams come off blowout losses. Purdue is getting accurate quarterback play and running for 5.1 yards a carry. Oregon State's allowing 5.7 yards per rush. Play Purdue plus 4. Kansas State and BYU college football pick. This one here on Saturday. Kansas State comes in at 3-0 after a 31-7 home win here to Arizona. The K-State Wildcats delivered 391 yards, 235 rushing for 5.7 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 324 yards to Arizona with 56 rushing yards for 3 yards a carry. Avery Johnson, 14-23 passing for 156 yards, 2 touchdowns. He rushed for 110 yards. BYU 3-0 with their 34-14 road win at Wyoming. The Cougars put up 358 yards, 140 rushing for 5 yards a carry. On defense, they held the Cowboys to 217 yards, 140 passing on 31 attempts. Jake Retzloff, 22 of 36 passing for 291 yards with 3 touchdowns and a pick. BYU has been productive offensively with 6.5 yards per carry on the ground, 65% completions, 8 yards per pass attempt. They hold opponents to 4 yards a carry on the ground. Kansas State has issues defending the pass and allowing 62% completions, 8 yards per pass attempt. The Wildcats are 1-4 the spread as a road favorite. Play BYU plus 6.5. For my best bets and premium plays, click the link in the description and get on over to TonySports.com. That'll take you right to my sales page. And of course, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more free pick videos. And give us that thumbs up if you appreciate our work. I'm Tony T. We'll talk to you later.